Okay, so I just got finished talking with my parents about, I pitched them some questions, and frankly, I wonder if they were really even there during my childhood because, for Christ's sakes, I didn't get a lot of great information from them at all. Um, Maybe I didn't ask the right questions. But um, just these past 2 weeks, and then Harry's video about can personality change, it made me think a lot about my own situation. Um, so I think I may have told some people this already, but when I was 8 years old, I was in a snowmobile accident. I actually hopped on a snowmobile that was parked and took off with it, and then I didn't know how to drive it because I was so young, and I basically held it pinned because I was scared, and I drove it straight into a tree. I probably hit the tree at 40 miles an hour and was thrown from the snowmobile, and was relatively in and out of consciousness apparently. And my father has said, and he is not interested in personality or anything like that, has said that he thought my personality changed. Well, he changed his mind tonight and said that my temperament changed. So temperament would mean that I basically went from the way they're describing it is from a feeler to a thinker, or a thinker to a feeler. But they can't pinpoint anything. So the other thing I asked was, how did I interact with the world or whatever? And they said that, both of them said I was a very highly creative child. I had more of an extroverted energy. And that changed somewhat after this first brain injury. It changed a lot after the second one. But the second one, my car accident at 18 was so traumatic because there was a fatality. It was so deeply traumatic. It triggered a nervous breakdown that it's kind of has to be taken out of the equation because it would do irreparable damage to anyone. Okay, so just the combination of physical injury, psychological distress, the years following it, guilt, all these things. It's so heavy that it's hard to attribute that to anything else. But what happened when I was 8 years old, I think, can be attributed to how I turned out. Okay, so the temperament change. I became, I guess I was a little bit more easygoing, and then I became less easygoing. Okay, now I asked my mother. She's a fifth grade teacher. I asked her. I said, and it's very difficult for my parents to understand what the fuck I'm saying for whatever reason, okay? I had to literally walk them through this shit. But I asked her, I'm like, okay, out of one thing I am fucking really creative. I don't claim to have a high IQ, but I am super fucking creative. I could take anything and make something out of it. I could find a creative way to escape anything. I'm a known escape artist. I can just, I'm so gifted that way. She said, I asked her, out of 1,000 children, this is me prior to the brain injury. I said, out of 1,000 children, you've seen more than 1,000 children as a fifth grade teacher for 40 something years or whatever. Out of 1,000, what percentage, top 500, top 250, whatever like that? She said, you'd be in the top 250. I said, okay. In as far as imagination, as far as creativity. And then I asked her, okay, afterwards. Then she said, I'd be in the top 150. And my dad seemed to want to actually even push that a little bit further. So this is kind of interesting. So it basically took whatever I had and really supercharged it a bit, um, as far as the imagination. And what they told me is that I would, um, you know, build intricate forts that were different than other children's forts. Like, um, I take old tires and wood, but then I put dirt on so it'd be like partially underground and then like go up into the tree. So it was like camouflaged. Stuff like that was like kind of advanced for my age. And just really creative solutions to problems. They brought that up. Um, as far as, they brought up art and stuff like that, which I've always excelled at anyway. But, they mentioned that this has just been, it's gotten exponentially stronger, right? Um, However, they describe me as an extrovert. They describe me as trusting to people. And then now, in between this, they see totally different, very introverted, and with extroverted aspects, but very um, mistrusting of people, almost to the point of jumping to conclusions, hyper defensiveness. But this could be post traumatic stress acting itself out. So, I mean, the description that I got from my innate dominant function would be extrovert intuition. They said I wasn't withdrawn, I wasn't private, I wasn't any of that stuff before this brain injury. They said even after it, it would trailed off. It was like less extroverted, right? But they're talking about a temperament change, but they don't know the temperaments. So they can't tell me that they thought I had more of a NT temperament or NF temperament, right? My guess is I think they think I had an NF temperament and I changed to an NT temperament. I think that's what they're thinking or trying to. They can't put it into those words. I can see that there's nothing, they mention nothing about like sensation or anything that would be attributed to that. It's all intuition. It's all whatever. The other thing too is they mentioned that I had a unquenchable thirst for the sake of learning things to just learn them. They didn't have to encourage me that way. I was always reading. I enjoyed trips to the library. I would take as many books as I could possibly get of all different things, all different topics. A mixture, but leaning more towards nonfiction. So, going off all this, it makes me wonder, am I some sort of NTP? Or is this temperament change, TINI? It really does seem from the description like I did go in an inverse, and now it's almost like I have consciousness in an antagonizing function, and I had a disdain for people, right? And then that might have filtered through NI, and it formed my whole worldview that way or whatever like that, and then I completely misremember my dominant function. I mean, that's one theory. The other theory is this, is that if you look at JI and PE as one half of a person, right? And if you look at not an eye, introverted perceiving and extroverted judging as one half of a person, could possibly a brain injury, a rewiring, just flip those, right? And then so it would naturally, there would be a flip that way, and it would be a personality change, but it would be a personality change within the quadra. I don't know. But it's very interesting, and now I'm really hyper focused or fixated on it, because my brain scans came back as we don't know nothing, okay? Because I hate doctors. I shouldn't say I hate doctors. I hate doctors as they relate to me. I think doctors are absolute heroes, and especially what they're doing now, it's amazing, and I really appreciate them. But doctors who have related to me and my brain injury have been like fucking idiots. I mean, I've had to literally walk them through shit, hold their hand, like I've had to figure it out for myself. So, had to be my own doctor. So, um, the the um, the CT scans never showed the damage, because the damage is in the white matter of the brain. Okay, and the white matter, it's so hard to see anything, and they already can't read the scans really well because of all these different claims. It's hard to read them. Hey, we're looking through this, blah blah blah, all this stuff. All these excuses. All right. So then I went and I got into neurofeedback, and I eventually became a technician, and I learned how to read the scans and all this stuff, and it was read to me, whatever, and it did show deficits, and it was related to a moderate brain injury. Moderate. So moderate means you don't need to be spoon fed your food anymore, okay, or ever, right? Moderate, to mild means that it has an effect on you probably your presentation, your personality, your ability to take care of yourself, all these things, but you're not like irreparably damaged. So a lot of people have said, Jay, you don't present as someone with a brain injury. Thank you very much. But you don't see on the other end of it how much of a struggle it is. It's absolute total hell. No one understands it. They're like, oh, you're smart and all this stuff, whatever, but they don't understand how taxing, how stressful. And also with a brain injury of even mild and above, that's lifelong. They don't understand that you have this extreme fatigue all the time. Okay, and stimulation, you cannot sustain stimulating environments for very long, and then you have this issue with memory. I will leave, like I'll come downstairs and I'll bring my plate down or whatever, and I'll leave it there, but I'll think that I had put it in the dishwasher and I get yelled at, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? Water bottle. Like I'd be at the doctor's office, get called in, and I'd leave the water bottle out there. I didn't want to leave the fucking water bottle out there. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And not even realize it, have to be reminded. So weird, strange things happen. I wonder if some of the zone outs are from the brain injury. Combined with PTSD. There's a lot of what ifs, and I get fixated. I always think about what ifs, and I end up getting really, really in my head, and it's a big problem. What was the other thing I wanted to bring up? There was something else I know I wanted to bring up. I mean, I think this is going to make a good video, so I might actually post this. Let me just talk a little bit more about the brain injury and the effects. it may have on personality and stuff because it's already 15 minutes, and I might as well make it a 20-minute video. So the other aspects too of that could affect personality is this, that the irritability that comes with a brain injury, and stuff like that. There's actually a story when they first discovered this as a thing, was, I believe, in the like around Civil War period, so like 1860s, 1870s, when they were really focused on building railroads and stuff like that. A railroad worker, he had a outgoing, friendly demeanor, funny, all this stuff. A iron rod, okay, had ricocheted, I guess, or come under pressure, and it shot through his head. And what was described was they couldn't really remove it from his head, so I imagine they shaved whatever, and they didn't remove it because it would have killed him if they removed it. But the marked personality changes. He obviously, we're talking more severe. He was still able to function, but that's not exactly true. He was able to live, but he had issues in functioning and issues with irritability, and he would get into physical fights with people. He ended up getting fired from his job because he was so disagreeable. All these things, and this is also something that I can relate to because I felt the same thing. It's almost like, what the fuck is wrong with me? But the problem is, it's actually the issue is in the rewiring. I think when the brain rewires, it's rewiring in a way in an attempt to compensate, not for the deficit. I don't think it has the ability to compensate for the deficit. It just seems to wire around the deficit, and what you get is what you get. So I had I had some maybe you can call them gifts that became stronger after my second brain injury, right? But I had other deficits that just took away. So it was like, I want to say a net gain of 0, but it was actually still a deficit, even if you applied what was gained. So this was it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to try to process as it relates to personality type, because you can bring in so many different things to it. Because then the other thing too is you get diagnosed with a personality disorder, possibly, when you have a brain injury, when you have PTSD in combination with that as well, because of the way you present. It really isn't a true personality disorder. I see interference between perception in myself. If perception's in the middle and there's interference, well, that's a split psyche, that's essentially two different modes. Now, I've seen this in others, but not everyone. So I need to do more research into this to see if this is like something more universal, or this is something we see in the community, because the community is full of people with personality disorders anyway. Really a high degree of personality disorders here. Legit personality disorders like cluster Bs especially. Maybe some cluster A as well. I'm not really sure we see cluster C so much here. So yeah, it's just something to think about if you're interested in this. So I'm going to continue to do research to try to uncover what I can uncover, but I imagine I make the prediction that I'm going to really be just wasting my time, because I think that without a before and after, there's no way you'll ever know what really really went on and what really changed you. So um, it sounds like as a child I was an NE dom, and it's now I can't relate to that. I'm not sure. Feel free to comment if you'd like to comment.